This is Joe Peters with Joe Peters, MomFit with Joe Peters. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network and the Her Network on Single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Single TV app in the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you are downloading, make sure to leave a comment. The app is free. Also, Single TV can be available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Roku Stick in all the smart TVs since 2016. And while you are doing that, make sure that you follow me on social media at Joe Unicorn Coach in Facebook and Instagram, and if you're having any question, any doubt, any challenge about motherhood, please send me a message, a direct message. I handle my social media myself. And if I don't know the answer, I will find an expert like Rachel to come to the show and help us because the mission of MomFit is helping you to win the marathon of motherhood without burnout. And with that, this episode is one that I think that we should be talking about it every day, every week, every episode. And that is how we can make a priority of ourselves as mothers without guilt, and why it's important and how we can actually do it. And for that, we are going to have a phenomenal expert in the house, Rachel. Rachel is an author and certified life coach. She specialized in helping moms to prioritize themselves and create joy in motherhood because for the moms in the back, it doesn't have to be that hard. Rachel is actually mom of three, a 5-year old, a 3-year old twins. And after earning her bachelor and her master's in Germany, Rachel taught German and wrote curricula for 8 years. Upon her arrival of her twins, she transitioned into full-time momming CEO job, and desperate to find meaning and rediscovering herself in the chaos of raising at any point was, I think that it was, at one point was what, two, three
Mhm,
under two, right? Because your oldest was two and the twins,
mhm,
oh my goodness. Um then she start refining herself, and after that start helping others. She shared these strategies in Mom Me and is building a community of supporting other moms on the rachelnewman.com. uh, there is a show that there is a TV, a movie that is not, they not want something
mhm.
Newman, no? I just had a flashback of Jim Carrey for some reason. Anyway, um, but the beautiful thing is Rachel' mission is helping moms to find joy in young motherhood, and to know that they can still enjoy their life while they have kids, and they can thrive whatever they choose to do. And now, after 2 years and a half of handling three under two and then three under three, she is back in her alma mater in Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas, helping others as well. Rachel, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here talking about this topic. Let's talk a little bit about your journey, probably the transition from one to three, and then how was a struggle for you into prioritizing yourself. um that I actually don't know how you do it because I have only one, and I just told you behind the scenes in the green room my morning with my little one. So I can only imagine dealing with three toddlers. But let's gonna walk a little bit about your origin story into where you find this is not working, it needs to be a better way, it needs to be an easier way, and how that looked like for
Definitely.
you.
Well, thank you again for having me, and I'm really happy to talk about this topic. So for me, I was still teaching, having one under the age of two, and if you did your math, that means I had my twins in 2020 and in the middle of 2020. So in July of 2020, we had them. Through May of 2020, I was teaching my full-time teaching job. And also wrangling a not even 1.5-year-old at that point in time. And my husband and I made the decision that I needed to leave my teaching career to stay home, one, due to financial necessity, and two, with the risk of having multiples. There's a high probability you're delivering early and they are more susceptible to illness. So we made that decision, a very challenging decision for me to stay home. And after their arrival, I found myself really battling with a loss of identity. I had always been a teacher. That was what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. That's what I was passionate about. And I was surrounded by toddlers all day long who none of them were able to communicate with me in a way that, was more than whines and screams. And it really didn't leave a lot of room when you have new infants and a not 2-year old. Your hands on all day long. You're literally just playing zone defense. And that really had me struggling with figuring out who I was outside of my role as a mom, because I lost quote unquote here, everything that I had known previously. And I was thrown completely into being a mom. And I really struggled with that for about 6 to 8 months. And yes, those are the most challenging times with having newborns. But that is a long stretch of time to go where you're just full of resentment. There's no joy in what I'm doing. I don't feel like I am me. And slowly, I started realizing like, this is not a good way to live. This is not helping anybody. And I need to do something for me to get myself out of it. So that's when I started playing with things and started looking at what had brought me joy previously: reading, exercising, running, all of the things that Rachel, before being a mom, before being a stay at home mom, did. And doing those things, it slowly brought me out of that. And as I continued to come out of it, I realized that me before being a mom still needs to be present while I am a mom.
And I think that that is a topic that I was actually talking with my therapist about that we also need to normalize that drastic change and lose of identity. Because I was telling my therapist yesterday, almost sobbing, saying, I love him with all my heart, and I still dream about how much easier my life will be if it was just my husband and I. It was before babies. But then we have such a big stigma about that we don't talk about it. So we just handle all those feelings of resentment, of missing our previous life, of, like, I will tell you a little story on this week. My husband works for a Fortune 100 company and has to travel. Before babies, the week that he was traveling was amazing because I had the house for myself. I could do whatever I want. I would watch all the girly movies in the evenings. It was such a treat for me to take care of me when he was traveling. Same scenario now with a 2.5-year-old. When he travel are actually my worst weeks because I am the default parent 24/7. And and that is things that we don't talk and normalize. And because we don't talk, we don't get the help like yours to find ways to still take care of us. So let's gonna start right in the heat of the topics. Let's gonna talk about shame and why it's so hard for us to feel that when I'm taking care of myself, I am being a bad mom, or is wrong for me to prioritize myself before my kids. So what is that dance that we play with our mind that, I will even be very honest, it comes from society a lot of times into that pressure. But
That's exactly it. It is societal norms that have been placed on us. And as you had previously said too, we don't talk about it. We don't normalize it. There is not a single mom that I know that has not found herself in a situation where she's not enjoying an aspect of motherhood and she feels like, I what am I doing for me? What is the point in all of this stuff? Like, I'm just overwhelmed, and none of this is bringing the immense joy everyone says you're going to have when you have children. Children do bring immense joy. They also bring a whole lot more stuff that a mom needs to do. And it typically does fall on a mom. You have at least one time more the laundry to do, the dishes, all of these things. And the way that society has played it up is that this is the mom's role. A mom is supposed to want to do all of these things. All of these daily tasks are supposed to bring us joy. And then when they don't, when that expectation does not match our reality, we are expecting to be joyous and we're not, because those things don't bring anybody joy. Like, I don't know anybody who loves doing the dishes. And if you do, more power to you, my friend. But when we are at that point where our reality doesn't match the expectation, we're going to have feelings of doubt, and we doubt that we are doing a good job. And with that brings the guilt and the shame. And we find ourselves just going through the motions without really doing what is necessary to make us feel like we are complete human beings outside of just being a servant to our family.
And on that one is that, because I was talking and it went viral in in my social medias. I was talking about how the expectation is that we raise our kids like if we didn't need anything else, and then that we keep our life like if we didn't have kids, and it is a impossible standard that we try to reach every day, and that is why we are exhausted. And one of the things that I saw when I saw this part and hearing you was, I was actually listening to Rachel Cargill. She's a beautiful activist and she had a new book, and in her book, she had a phrase that says, your better self is your rest
Mm.
self." Encouraging the part of we need to normalize as women that it is okay to rest, that it is okay. Like, I will tell you this, and it's going to be an popular opinion, but my husband is coming from traveling all week today, and he's coming, and I'm gonna take my son and give it to him. And I'm gonna go and have a dinner with myself, have a couple of drinks, just me in a nice restaurant, and zoom out. And everybody was like, wow, but you should be staying with your husband and family time that you're not having. No, I need time for myself after this crazy week. So I love that, of learning that, like what you are saying and what you said is, the act of making yourself a priority is an act of taking care of your family. And I'm gonna talk. I know that you have daughters, and it's the same with boys. Is a big change for me and a big shift for me was the part of monkey see, monkey do, and say, I don't care how much I'm telling. If my kids are seeing me burn out all the time, tired, all the time unhappy, all the time in the ground, what they're going to learn is that is how is normal. That is how motherhood should look like. That is how they need to expect their life. And then when we see it like that, we all are like, I don't want that for my daughters. I don't want that for my sons. I want them to be happy and blooming. How in the hell they are going to find the courage and the strength to do that if they never saw that at home? If they never saw us taking care of ourselves, if they never saw us having a priority, if they never saw that. So I would love for you to share a little bit more into that, of how we can overcome that shame even with the smallest steps, into reframing and anchoring that actually taking care of us is taking care of our family.
I think part of it comes down to, again, we have to separate this concept of it's either me or them. And it's not this or, it's this and. And in order to take care of our kids, we have to be our best selves, or we're going to be snappy. We're going to be short with them. We'll have no patience. We have no drive and desire to go do the things that they need. And especially if you are at home, working or at home, either way, we need that energy. But if you're home with them all day long and you're not fueling yourself and filling up yourself, like your cup, then you're going to be short with them all day long. So to me, it is a non question. I have to take care of myself, or I'm not going to show up as the mom that I want to be. And it is really those daily simple actions where you do it. This is not some extravagant, I mean, yes, by all means, I would love to go to the spa and have like a night to myself, but these are daily action steps that you take 5-10 minutes a day to take care of yourself and to make sure that you are in the right state of mind, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of the things, so that you can be present for your kids. And it really is just those daily things. And we can go through a whole list of them if you want me to, on a few of the different actions that I take and recommend for other people. All right, we're going into it. So, the very first one that I tell everybody, and it's something that, yes, in the first couple of days, it might not be something that you enjoy.
Wait a second. Before we go into those actionable ones, let's gonna have a very clear frame picture of what really means to take care of me as a
Okay.
mom. So we get that boundary then, and then you can give us a list of the things that they can
Love
start
it.
playing
Self
with.
care is a word I really don't enjoy because I think we tie it to hygiene. Me going to the spa and getting my nails done is not self care. It could be a component of it, but it is not that. I should be able to say, I'm going to go take a shower, you can watch the children, and that be a normal expectation. We would do nothing different for a man. Why is the person who is typically the person taking care of the children not given that same luxury, quote unquote, here? So for me, self-care, and this is what I tell everybody, it is a wide range of things. We are taking care of ourselves physically. That's going to look like exercise of some variety, as simple as walking or moving your body. It's going to look like your nutrition. If you want your kids to eat wonderful, healthy meals, why are we not fueling our bodies the same way? It's going to look like taking care of our mindset and our mental game plan here and making sure we're in the right frame of mind. It's going to be taking care of those relationships. So, having and maintaining relationships with our friends, with our spouse, anybody, your family, anybody who's important to you. And then it goes into our spiritual side of that too. And it doesn't mean necessarily religious here. It can, but it also means looking at our values. Are we meeting what we want to put out into the world? What are we deciding is a purpose and something that we are wanting to do? So it's looking at all of those different things. It's the whole body wellness is what self-care is. It's not just let me go take a shower today.
I love it because when you say that, I actually remember a mom losing her shit literally into the fact of taking a freaking shower is not self-care. Like stop in social media and reels and all that, moving like, oh, it's a self-care. And I love how you say it, it's a part of it because the reality is I see that point in postpartum in the first 3 months in the fourth trimester. For me, getting in the bathroom, turning on the light, and getting the shower for 15, 20 minutes, just letting it was part of self-care. But I love how you are saying is part of the self-care that she'll not is like the very minimum of the stepstones into having care. Like taking a shower. The other one that blows my mind is going to the groceries alone. like like why that's self-care? Because that is the only time that you can have time by yourself, like to go and buy groceries for your family. So I absolutely agree with you on that, and I love how you are saying that is a full spectrum of components. Now let's go into the list. What are some of the things, like if there is a mom, and I want you to share these from two lenses, because our community is moms to be, pregnant moms that may start getting ideas into how they can prepare and start creating habits now to fit into transitioning, and also moms that are there, are burnt out, are not getting taken care, are not enjoying motherhood, but are ashamed to say that to anybody. So, on those two main groups that are the groups that we serve, what are some of the things that they can start
Okay.
playing with?
First, I definitely want to make sure that everyone listening knows that you are doing a good job. Let's start with that. There's literally nothing wrong with not enjoying every aspect of motherhood. I would probably say that you are a special unicorn if you do enjoy every moment of motherhood. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not alone. We are all there. So let's establish that as our baseline.
And I will even I will even stop there and say, like, I'm a unicorn and I do not enjoy it. So not even unicorns enjoy all parts of motherhood. So let's start
True.
there.
And that's just it, is everyone is going to have things that they don't enjoy. And there is nothing wrong with not loving every minute of it. Like, let's just start that as a baseline. And if you are finding yourself where you're not enjoying more moments than you are enjoying moments, we need to start working on some things to bring you back to that joyous point. And there are some very basic things that you can do. So, for moms to be, what I encourage you to do, the very first thing is, before your little bundle of joy or joys arrives, think about what makes you feel fulfilled now. What are things that bring you joy? What are daily routines that serve you and set you up for a really good day? And anything that you think really helps you with your identity and makes you feel like a complete, wonderful human being here. And kind of hold those in your space and then have those written down somewhere for you to reference when you're in the thick of it and you really are struggling. Because knowing who you were before you went into the fourth trimester, where it is insane and in a good way and also not, those are going to be things that you can reference to help bring yourself out of that, especially if you're going through postpartum anxiety or depression, or in my case, I had rage. And having those things to refer back to and say, hey, the Rachel you know who is here somewhere, the person you know who is here somewhere, likes to do these things. Maybe let's try one of these for 5 minutes today and see how that makes me feel. And the same is true if you are on the other end of it. Maybe you're in the fourth trimester or you're a little further on. And maybe you're like me and you got the three-year-old wild children running around and you're like, this is just nutso. And it is wonderful, but you still need those things to bring you joy. And that list that you built of things that you enjoyed before having children, or even now while you're having children, is a great place to start. There may be things on the list that you no longer enjoy. For me, I absolutely loved watching crime shows before I had kids. Absolutely loved it. You give me all the crime shows and I'm all over it. I cannot do that anymore because there are too many episodes that involve children, and that's a hard pass for me. So I know to remove that one from it. That just adds more stress and gives more anxiety. So if it's something like that, you're going to play with the list and find something that does light you up and brings you joy and makes you remember who you are in this role as a mom.
And I love how you are pointing out into the fact that is not a one size fit all, but is the journey of start being curious with, oh, what are the things that really make me happy and I enjoy. And then the other thing that I would love for you to um, share with us is, what are some of the tips and guidance into how we can do it? Because I agree with you, into we think, oh, if I don't have 2 hours to go to the gym, I cannot do self care. Oh, if I don't have 2 hours and a half to go to the spa and get a massage, there is no self care. So we very easy go into that all or nothing swing motion, and then we end doing nothing because we are always, everything that we are thinking is like, oh, but it needs these many hours that I definitely don't have. So then I'm not doing it. So how we can start carving time and where we can start, and if it actually will make a difference if it's even a couple of minutes.
First things first, we're all working with the exact same number of hours and minutes and days, all of that. We have time. We do. The question is, do you want to use your time to take care of yourself? And the time that you're putting towards that, are you actually doing it? So I'm going to give an example here of how I realized I was not using my time wisely, and then show you how I altered it to give you a practical example here. We all have a phone, and we do spend a lot of time on social media. So here, I want to encourage you to take a look and see what your screen time is like. Do you really want to be spending, for me, it was upwards of 2 hours a day on social media, literally just scrolling and seeing what other people were doing? That's not serving me. And it definitely doesn't make me feel better about myself and feel like I'm taking care of me. So instead of doing that, instead of the 2 hours I'm spending doing that, and that's throughout the day, right? Like that's not 2 hours in one sitting usually. Um, that's time in between things that I can be allocating to take care of myself. So what I decided to do was one, I set a time limit on my phone. So that way I'm not on my phone when I'm not intending to be on my phone. And then I use 10-minute windows throughout my day. And that's when I take care of myself. And I also am an early riser. And for me, I have to be awake 30 minutes before my children. Some people are a little off on this. So, again, adjust your times according to your schedule. I have a friend who she is like staunchly, I am not getting out of bed that early. So, she takes that and puts it at the end of her day. So, for me, that 30 minutes in the morning is time for me, just me. I am just taking care of myself before I'm serving other people. And that looks like I'm getting up, I'm moving my body. That doesn't mean I'm doing an excessive workout unless I want to. Typically, that just means I'm getting out of bed and I'm walking around my house or something to waken my body up. I'm getting a cup of coffee. That's where I do my journaling, where I set the intention for the day. This is what is important to me today. These are the things that I need to get done. This is how I am going to intentionally spend time with my children. For me, I also put my Bible time in there. That's 30 minutes that I can carve out just for myself, where I'm focusing on me. And then throughout the day, I have a couple of little 10-minute windows where if I want to sit down for a few minutes and read a book, I can do that. If I want to go over here and I don't know, make my hair look pretty today, if that's part of what brings you joy, we can do those things throughout the day. It doesn't have to be a giant 2 hour block unless that is something that you need and fits your style. But typically, I find with moms, it's going to be I have this tiny window of time. What can I do to bring myself some joy and take care of me in that window?
I love absolutely that. And I think that if you are listening this and this is the only thing that you take is going to change your life from Rachel's concept is stop saying that you don't have time and start taking responsibility of I have the time. What I am not having is the prioritization to allocate some of that time to the things that actually add value. One, I will tell you, it was funny what that you said that because I don't know if you are going to see that, but I just recently find this thing where I can get modes in my phone where all the apps that are consuming my attention are literally blocked um, for specific times of the day. And I'm finding myself time after time, like by default, going there. And then just the fact of seeing it in gray make me stop and ask the second question that is, do I really need to go to this app right now? And I will tell you in the last week, yes, or that question was only two times of the 200 times that I did it. The other times it was like, no, I don't put it back. And it's important because it's that part of where we are choosing to. The other one is I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but the term of revenge procrastination. So I went into that last year, and it was like my day was so chaotic that at the end of the day, I stayed late a lot longer just to decompress, to watch something, to scroll into internet. And it was that revenge procrastination to actually leach out from the day. But it was toxic because then I had even less hours of sleep. And then I was in that hamster wheel every day until my husband was like, you know that you are doing revenge procrastination. I was like, what? And when he explained me, I was like, oh my God, I'm totally doing that. And it was as simple as being aware of it and say, Monday to Thursday, I am going to bed with Elliot. As soon as I put Elliot to bed, I'm going to bed. So Monday to Thursday, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, 9:30. And then Friday, Saturday, I am more flexible if I want to do something with my husband. But I love also how simple it is to pick 10 minutes. And you're saying that you have multiple 10 minutes on the day, but it also gives hope to the moms to say, Just put 10 minutes on the calendar. And I want you to share how you do it, because I work with archetypes. In archetypes, I'm a ruler. I need to have in the calendar. So some of these things, I literally have them in the calendar. Me time, put it there. And one of the things that I did, for example, is I start inviting my husband to the event. So it's like, me time Friday 6 to 9, and I invite him, so it's in his calendar too, so he actually know that that time is for me, and that he needs to figure out with the kids dinner and all that. So that is how it works for me. How it works for you, do 10-minute increments, because it's also very easy to say, oh, I'm gonna do 5 10-minute increments today, but then the day ends and you are like, yeah, I didn't. So how we keep ourselves accountable into actually doing it, because when we say 10 minutes, like, I would really challenge, and if you feel like that, please send us a DM, either to Rachel or me. If you feel that you don't have 10 minutes, one set of 10 minutes per day, I actually think that there is not one mom here that can literally tell me, I don't have 10 minutes. But now the second part is how we actually walk the talk and start using the 10 minutes that we said, how we said that we were going to do it.
We actually do something very similar to you, Joe, where we do block it into our calendar. That's one thing I absolutely recommend doing, is anything you're going to prioritize is blocking it into your calendar and ensuring that your partner is aware of that so they can support you during that time. We do the exact same thing. I have it written in there as like a date with myself, and I treat it just like I would any other appointment I'm showing up for. I show up, I know what I'm doing during that time block. I have that planned out before I get there, and I don't just go, oh, it's me time. I'm going to twiddle my thumbs and waste my 30 minutes. No, I go in with a game plan. Like, in this 30 minutes, I want to do this, this, and this. And that's something you can play with and figure out what you feel like doing in that moment. So have your list of things that you like that bring you joy and do those there. The other part of that, like I said, is communicating with your spouse. So my husband and I do a very good job of ensuring that we are going to get time to ourselves. That's a non-negotiable for us, is that we are human beings. All human beings deserve to have moments to themselves to decompress. That's a non-negotiable. Same as we give quiet time to our kids where they can just reset and have a quiet moment or don't nap anymore. We need that too. So if you have young toddlers, they have nap time, there's your hour block or 20-minute block, whatever they're napping at right now. That's your block of time, easily built in your day. And the way you hold yourself accountable for that is, again, having those conversations. You have your schedule, routine, whatever you're going to call it. And you say, okay, during this time, I know that I'm doing this. And then you make it a priority and you show up for it like it is the priority it needs to be. And that's the way you keep it accountable. And this is where I prefer routines over schedules, because schedules change a little bit throughout the day, throughout the week. Maybe you're going to the zoo this day or you're doing something else and everything doesn't align perfectly. That's where you have a routine, and it's a routine you can do at any point in time. It doesn't have to be fixed time things. And for me, that's like, okay, when I sit down for my quiet time, I know I'm going to get a drink that I want to have, whether that's coffee in the morning or, an energy drink in the afternoon, whatever it happens to be. I'm going to get that. I'm going to sit down with either my book, if that's what I want to sit down with. I could sit down and I could paint, I could color, I could do literally whatever brings you joy in that moment. Sit down with that. This is my time. It's protected. Even when my husband travels, he travels quite a bit, actually. He's gone this week too. He just got home this morning. And that is something I do in the evening. I know that during the weekdays where I'm momming hardcore the whole time, there's not a lot of time for me throughout the day with those 10-minute blocks. So as soon as those kids are in bed, that's when I do my second window for myself. I always have my morning window, my 30 minutes in the morning, because I need that. I've played with it and decided that's my time. In the evening, I block it as soon as they are asleep. That's when I'm doing my evening journaling, which is something I very much recommend everybody does. And that evening journaling for me looks at, like, what was the impact I had today? And I focus on that. So that helps me reframe my mindset where I'm ready to go the next day and say, this was chaos, absolutely chaos, but I did a good job. My kids are taken care of. I was able to ensure that they are loved, they are cared for. They have, I did the dishes so everybody has food, plates to eat food off of tomorrow. All of those things where it's reframing your mindset. And it really does take 10 minutes. That maybe takes me 5 minutes in the evening to do. And then, of course, I just unwind and, set myself up for the next day.
I love that. And that is where communities like yours and mine are so helpful too, because one of the things, I was in a course yesterday with one of my coaches, and we were talking about females craving and deciding to be witness. And that is where it's very helpful to get a little pot of other moms. Like, trust me, if you are trying to take care of you, they are moms. If not your friends, there are other moms there that are looking for the same. And how powerful will be to have that accountability partnership, that first thing in the morning or last thing in the night, you can send something as simple as a text to the group and say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be coloring pages, or today I'm going to be coloring pages. Just the fact of you saying it out loud to somebody else increase exponentially the chances of you actually doing it, because now the society, the survival part of being part of a group in the standards kick in into, oh, I told Rachel that I was going to do that. So it's also how you can find those tricks to, especially when you are starting on, I think, because after you have the routine and you have the habit, and you see, like you saw, that you actually are a better person, a better mom when you have your 30 minutes in the morning, then it's a lot easier to keep it going. But for the first, I don't know what is your opinion, but for the first 30, 60, even 90 days that you are just creating the habit, having that accountability, I think that is important. And let's gonna talk a little bit about that community, into how that community of other moms, how surrounding ourselves with moms that also are making a priority of themselves is important. Because the reality is, all of these moms that are watching us can go gung ho. Yes, I'm gonna make priority of myself. But if their friends, their moms, their mother-in-laws are never prioritizing themselves, are always playing the selfless, painful love, then the only thing that is going to happen is that disruption of this is not matching. So we're gonna talk a little bit about why it's important to do this kind of work, surrounded by a community that is aligned with that to support you.
I love how you just talked about having a community that's aligned with you. And that's one of the things that I am encountering a lot in our community, is that we have moms in mom groups that are not looking to take care of themselves in that way. They are, yes, mothering is hard and we should be allowed to complain about it, but I don't believe in complaining just for the sake of complaining. Sometimes you need to vent. But if you're really struggling with this, you need to go to somebody and say, hey, I'm really having a hard time with this. Do you have any ideas? Can we brainstorm some ideas? How can we take care of this? And that is what is going to happen when you have the right tribe around you. And this is something that I actually do talk about in the book, because I am passionate about it. Is in 2020, we had to figure out how to do that while we were at home locked in our houses. And the community didn't exist in the traditional they're around you way. So I went to social media. And social media is a great place, when used correctly, to find that community of people. And it's looking for people who are talking about the same things as you're wanting here. If you're wanting to be able to prioritize yourself, you're wanting to find more joy. If you're feeling like you're trapped in your house and you're like, what do I do all day with these kids? Finding people who are trying to figure that out as well, or can guide you, maybe are a little further in your journey and guide you through that. And then again, having those conversations. I love the idea of the accountability groups. My caution with some of those is, again, make sure you're in it with the right people, because sometimes it can be more damaging than helpful. But again, that's vetting the people that are in your community. And that's something we talk about as well, is how do you vet this? I tried 5 different mom groups before I found the one that actually fit for me and my children, because that's a thing too. If you're taking your kids need to be comfortable, you need to be comfortable. And it's, again, with a lot of things with momming, it's trial and error. It's, you're going to try this out and say, okay, well, does this person align with me? Does this person also value the same things I value? We're wanting to take care of ourselves. We're wanting to say me and my kids, not me or my kids. And just making sure that, again, you're in agreement there. And then create the accountability, however that looks for you. And some groups that could be, we're going to check in every morning and say, this is what we're doing for ourselves today. This could be, hey, I'm checking in the middle of the day, like I'm going for a run right now, hold me accountable, whatever it happens to be. And then me personally, I make sure I add that accountability component in for myself with my daily intentions in the morning. I literally write it down. This is what I am going to do to take care of myself today. And that holds me accountable, knowing that I wrote it down. I'm going to keep my promise to myself. And I feel like that is something that it oftentimes just let go by the wayside because the day is crazy, or the kids are not doing well, or all of these different things. There's many things that can go on. And the last promise we keep is the one that we make with ourselves, when really we need to be keeping that promise with ourselves too, because if we can't keep our promise to ourselves, how are we going to go through and keep our promises with other people?
You say so many things. The first one that I actually love, and this is where we go into some tough love, and that is, I completely agree with you, is if something is not working, then you have two options. You can complain about it, talk about it, and fix it. And then if you cannot fix it, then you need to fix how you perceive it so it's not bothering you anymore. But that circle of complaining over and over and over and over and over again for the same issue is not healthy for you, is not healthy for your children, is not healthy for your environment. So I always have that rule, like, you are complaining, awesome. Two things. This is how we can fix it. Oh, you don't want to take the action, you don't want to fix it. Okay, so let's gonna fix your mindset so it doesn't bother you anymore, because then you need to realize that there is a misalignment between what you want and what you are expecting to have. So I love that one. And I love how you giving permission moms to make mistakes. And then this is a beautiful measure that you said that I want to reinforce into the chances for you to get the perfect mom group the first time, or the perfect accountability group the first time, or the perfect coach the first time, the reality is are very small. They are, because in a distribution curve, statistically, there is a 2 to 5% chances that happen. But for every 100 women, only 2 to 5 of them do it the first time. The encouragement that I hear from Rachel that I love is, it is okay to keep trying. So it's not like, oh, I try and didn't work for me, so I have to be by myself and don't take care of me and don't support. But oh, I try and didn't like it. Why I didn't like it? What things I was looking that were not there? How I can refine my search. So that is so important into that part. And let's, as we start getting closer to the end, touch in a, that probably is going to be a lot longer conversation, but let's gonna see how far we can go. How we can start using the muscle of honoring our word to ourselves. Because part of the accountability is that when we say it to others, it's almost like if we say it to others, it weights more than when we say it to ourselves. When we keep it here in our mind, it's easier for us to just, no, I will not do it, I will do it tomorrow. So the first step, if that is your case, may be accountability external. And I love how Rachel called it out into, even though we need to start working into, you are your longest relationship, how we can work into making that promise to ourselves as important and as sacred as it was for others.
It's the whole mindset piece. And that is the root of everything, is your mindset right? So I work with moms, and we have a mindset that we call the mom me mindset. And we go through what it is. And it is essentially, I am a mom. I am also a me. The me I was before I was a mom is still important as a mom. It is mom and me, not mom or me. And having that mindset is literally the basis of that, where you're saying, I am a priority, my needs and wants matter, I am okay to take care of myself, like this is something I can do, and I am doing a good job with the information I have. That's the basis of it. And when you have that mindset of, I'm worthy, I deserve to be taken care of, my needs matter, when you start saying that to yourself, a little bit like a mantra, like I am worthy, I deserve to have my needs met, that's when you start really believing it. And that is what is necessary for you to start keeping those promises with yourself, is working on that and believing that you do deserve to have time to yourself. You do deserve to never rank last on your priority list. The laundry deserves to be further back on the list than you. And that is like such a silly thing to say, but really that's what we often view, is all of these other things matter more than we do. And that's not true. You matter. You deserve to be on the list. And keeping your promise to yourself, again, it starts with that, is knowing that you are worthy, and then showing up like it. Show up like you would for your friend who's saying those things about herself, where she says she's not worthy, that she doesn't know how to take care of herself, or she doesn't see the value in doing that. You would never let your friend say that about herself. You are supposed to have a friendship relationship with yourself too. And why are you talking about your friend that way? You are your friend. You deserve to have those things. And when you take that outside perspective and say, okay, if I'm not going to let somebody else do that, why am I letting myself do that to me? And when you start doing it that way, that's really when you're going to get into that accountability piece and holding those promises you make with yourself.
I love that. And I love the exercise of always checking in into, will I do that to my best friend? So if I tell my best friend that I was going to show up in her house at 3 to have tea, like for us females, like literally, I will bet any female here listening, the only way that you are not going to make that happen is if you are in an ER with blood transfusion coming into your body. Any other way, you will figure out a way to be there because it's your best friend. You make that commitment. So I love how we can have that power into bringing like I am my best friend, and if I treat others like that, why I don't treat myself like that? And then that waves into something that is being very close to my heart lately, and is the option of normalizing that we can ask for deeper help into healing our own trauma with therapists, with coaches, with mentors, because the reality is that pattern that you were saying of unworthy, of I don't deserve, or I'm not worth, like bless their heart, we are not blaming our parents, but that probably came from our parents. That came from you seeing your mom never taking care of her, never putting herself on. I always use this example with my mother-in-law. When she served them food, we all in the dining room eating, and she's still in the kitchen, and she always eat cold. So is knowing that there is some things that you can do by yourself, there are some things that you can do with accountability, and there are some things that it's okay for you to work into asking for help with a therapist, with a coach, and find people that help you to unwind all of that, to get to that mindset that you are saying that you are worthy. So, Rachel, I love having you here in the show. As we close, if you could give one message to all the moms that are watching us, and then if they fall in love with you like I did, how they can reach out to you to learn more about Mom Me.
I want to leave you with this, and it's one, that you are doing a great job. Whatever you think in terms of, I maybe am not doing enough today or anything like that, know you are enough. You are doing a great job. And let's focus on the impact that you are having. The mundane things can overwhelm us, where we're doing the dishes, we're doing the laundry, we're reading the 87 stories, we're wiping the bottoms, we're doing all these things. Every single thing you do has an impact, and you are creating that childhood, and you're creating your marriage. You're doing all of these things for the people around you, and you should be able to look at that and see the impact of what you're having, or of what you're doing. And when you look at it through that lens of how I am going out there and I'm making a difference in the world, that's automatically going to make you start seeing that with that light of, wow, I'm worthy, what I'm doing is valuable, and that shifts everything. And so that, I want to leave you with that. And then of course, I would love to connect with you on social media. I'm over on Instagram at the.rachel.newman, and my website is therachelnewman.com.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Go and follow Rachel on Instagram, the Rachel Newman, the Rachel Newman, the RachelNewman.com, and make sure that you are also following Joy Unicorn Coach. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it.